Hey, welcome to Coffee and Chatter. If you've been following the Supreme Court case regarding gun rights in New York, I have the name here somewhere. I'll get to it down below. But something about that concerns me. So, Second Amendment. You've heard it a million times, right? At least I've said it a million times. But I'll say it again. A well regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Second Amendment. So I've looked at this from every which way but loose, to use a phrase there. And for the life of me, well, look, I see nothing in the Second Amendment that directs the federal government to protect the right to keep and bear arms so citizens can continue to hunt. Likewise, I see nothing in the wording of the Second Amendment that directs the federal government to protect the rights or the right to keep and bear arms so citizens can defend themselves against other citizens. Now, that said, given the mindset of the occupants of the late 18th century, it seems to me that these ideas were understood. Hunting, self-defense. Would anyone question that? Not like, it's not like 21st century New Jersey where you defend yourself and there's an investigation. No, I think they understood that people had the right to defend themselves, especially in their homes. And they had the right to procure food through hunting. So, that right, by the way, to self-defense was a mainstay of the castle doctrine, established years before in English law, that a man had the right to protect his castle or his home. So, in 1787, or when was it? I'm sorry. Yeah, 1787. Did those ideas really need to be debated? I don't think so. So, what were they debating? Well, I'm no expert of any type on the thinking of the founders through the reading of the writings they left behind, but I've read my fair share. And what seems to stand out is their concern about the corruption of government that would ultimately proceed to tyranny. And they wrote much about why there needed to be an armed citizenry as a precaution against that happening. Additionally, the founders, they just fought a revolution to throw off the tyranny of the English monarchy that had placed a standing army in the colonies. And the founders were thus adamantly against a standing army in the colonies once the war was over. They were in fact confident that the citizenry could raise an army when needed to defend themselves. After all, they did all they could to assure that the right to keep and bear arms would never be infringed upon by government, state or federal. To my point, so the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association Incorporated versus Bruin, a case currently before the Supreme Court and being argued. Here are a few comments from Justice Samuel Alito from the transcript of the proceedings. Justice Alito said, "Could we start with the purpose of the personal right to keep and bear arms and the core purpose of that right, putting aside the military aspect, is self-defense?" That doesn't sit right with me. I guess for one thing, I don't understand the context of the comment where he says putting aside the military aspect. I don't know what that means. I've looked at the transcript. I can't figure it out exactly. If you know, by all means, let me know. So, admittedly then, while I confess my confusion over his meaning, the comment that follows after with regards to the core purpose of the right to keep and bear arms being self-defense is what troubles me. This is a fact. The core purpose of the Second Amendment, as I've tried to argue not only here but multiple times, that demands that government not infringe in any way on the right to keep and bear arms is based on the natural right to do so and the uppermost concern in the minds of the founders was with regard to governmental tyranny that would need to be opposed by citizens. You can't do that unless you're armed. Now, I have no doubt of Justice Alito's fidelity to the Constitution, to the Bill of Rights, to the Second Amendment. I know this. When arguments lack specificity, opponents come along after, and they use that lack of specificity to introduce doubt and sway any argument they put forth to prove their point. So, I get it. A friend responded to my concern when I wrote that. He said, quote, "I think he was just conceding the obvious military aspect." And he goes on to state that the Second Amendment has a broader purpose covering personal self-defense. I see the remark as favorable for the right of citizens to bear arms. End quote. All right, I need to clarify. Again, I have no doubt of Sam Alito's Second Amendment support. Unfortunately, when things are said that might lack the specificity that I refer to, others come along later and they use that lack of specifics to disprove the issue in question. The very reason the Bill of Rights was written was because the Anti-Federalists were concerned that a time would, everybody at the time, the Federalists, the Anti-Federalists, none of them had a problem with the right to keep and bear arms. The Anti-Federalists, however, were concerned that a time would come when people would deny the existence of those natural rights and use the fact that there was nothing stated in the Constitution to that point. Voila. It's stated, and we're still at that point. So that's why the Anti-Federalists demanded the Bill of Rights. And again, witness where we are today. Let's look at the First Amendment. Could the First Amendment be clearer? How then was it so easily set aside? For goodness sake, we got a bad case of the flu and violated the basic rights of people to worship as they saw fit and to assemble peacefully? Given that, what will it take for the busybody tyrants to finally demand that we must surrender our firearms for the good of all? You pull on that thread of the Second Amendment, and the whole Bill of Rights unravels. The Old Testament prophet Hosea, in chapter 4, verse 6a, speaking on behalf of God, said these words to the Israelites: "My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge." Let me tell you, what we don't know can and will hurt us. All right, thanks for listening. See you next time.